Hello, everyone. Me and Kashay and Merlin are here to talk to you guys about a book that's over here somewhere, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And I hope y'all are ready to talk about the book. And maybe some of you were able to join Becca and Kate when they talked about it like 2 weeks ago. Maybe not. Maybe it took you longer to read the book. Maybe Merlin will leave me alone for a second. I don't really know because she's crazy. So, hello everyone. Kashay, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hey everybody, I'm Kashay and I'm just excited to be here talking about books and stuff. So, hey y'all.
I make no promises to if I actually put Kashay in the description. I did not. I will do that when we're done because I'm a horrible
No
person.
worries.
I'm like, I actually wrote stuff in there. I am so surprised. I'm telling you, I've been a hot mess lately. When was the last time I did a video? Who knows? Not me. Uh, so would you I can't do anything. Like the cat is literally just like right here. So she's gonna go away.
Makes me glad that I have dogs because they won't climb on the desk.
Okay. We have friends here. Lauren and Nicole are here, and Michael and Lizelle and Charlotte and Bonnie. We have friends. I like friends. You are not my friend. Go away.
Hey everybody. As you see, Titan just walked in here.
Go away, Merlin. Oh, Lord. Y'all, that cat. She needs a hug or something. Will somebody come give her a hug? So, I read this recently. I don't know when you last read it, Kashay.
So I actually have been listening to the audiobook, just to like hear someone else like read it and hear like how they make all the voices sound and stuff. I'm just curious to what it sounds like. So I am currently in it already, and so like when you were like we're gonna do this, I was like, you know what? Let me just pick up the physical book because Libby wants the audiobook back, and I kind of got to give it back to him because I don't have control over that. So let me just pick up the paperback and read it a little bit more.
I tried the audiobook first, but I couldn't read. Like it was too, there was too much. It's too much. Couldn't do it. I was trying to focus. It didn't work for me. So then I put it down and then I started reading uh, it physically. And I ended up finishing it by listening to the audiobook while I read it. It was the only way I could get through it and like focus.
Yeah, so I was like, once I started listening to the audiobook, I was like, there's no way I could have listened to this had I not read the book before or been reading along because of the way she tells the story. I would have been so lost and all the words I didn't know and people's names. And yeah, I would not have any idea what was going on. Like, seeing it visually helped so much better with context clues for me.
I guess I could pull up comments. That would be a cool thing that I could do. There was the Charlotte. Charlotte says this book is so good. I gotta get on the rest of the series. You do. I do too. I haven't read them either, so you know. Nicole wants to know if there is a free audiobook version. Naturally, as I clicked on it, StreamYard jumped because it does that. I
I did
borrowed it
put
from
in the
Libby.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I put in the comments if you have a local library card, you can borrow it via the Libby app.
Yeah, and I think that if you can stare at it at the same time, sometimes it helps. But you know, there are things. Yeah, I have to read the words, and I really like, especially books that are complicated, to hear it and read it at the same time. Makes it amazing. I agree. Like audiobooks are definitely what I read the most of, but this one I struggled with because I'm a loser. So, quick question as I just caught our private chat. Did you guys like the 30-second countdown at the beginning? Did you know that was a thing? Because I found it today as I logged on to StreamYard. It's in the brand file where you can have like your pictures, your backgrounds and stuff. And there's like video clips and it's already built in. Like they just put it in there for you. You just click it. Cool
So
thing.
I know what I'll be trying to use tomorrow night stream.
Well, and we were talking about like yesterday on Becca's, we were discussing like the issue with the muting yourself and everything. So it mutes you for 30 seconds. So that like during the countdown it mutes you. So I wonder if that affects the voice and stuff as well. Because
And
it's
as you say that, it did say your mic is muted right now. Like
yeah.
I did see that as the countdown was going on. So
So I don't know if that affects it or not. But it's weird. What I recommend is looking online. If your library has a website, a lot of times you can get a library card just via the internet. You don't even have to go in, which is what I did because I don't like to go in places. There's people in there and I don't like the people. So you can like go on their website and get one if that's something that they have available to you. Because all you really need is just the library card number. Just a thing you need. So I wholeheartedly only gave this book 3 stars, which is like I can feel Cash like ready to come through the screen at me and beat me in the face, smack me with the
I
book.
want to hear your reasoning behind it. I cannot be mad or feel a type of way until I know why, and then I can understand. Because the one thing I have heard from a lot of people is the way that it ends. And if you don't finish the series, I completely understand that review, like feeling that way. It's only now that since I've become a writer that as I read series and they like leave cliffhangers that I don't get as mad because I'm like, you got to give them something in the next book. You got to give them something in the next
Right.
book. So yeah, no, I understand. So go ahead, tell us why you give them 3 stars.
I actually really liked the book, and I think that because I'm a fantasy writer and I have heard so many good things about the book that I was focusing so much on um like the world building and the magic and all of that and the plot that I forgot to connect to the characters. And so like I didn't have any of the emotional response to all of the horrible shit that was happening to the characters because I was like so outwardly focused on everything else. And like I just didn't get that connection. And I can look back at it and I like it better looking back at it than I did in the moment of, if that makes sense.
So okay, so when I read it, I was reading it with my boyfriend. We were like switching chapters off, reading it back and forth. And at the very beginning, I hated it. Like I was like, "Yo, what is going on here? I don't understand anything in this. Like, why is there so much information? Why is this so dry? Like, I'm really not liking this." And he was like, "Babe, we gotta push through. Like, she's the black woman, and she won all these awards for these 3 books. There's got to be a reason." I was like, "All right, cool." By the time we got to the end, like I tell you, it probably took us 2 months to read the first book. By the time we got to the end, I want to say in 2 weeks we finished book 2 and book 3. Like it was like that afterwards because it had built the story up so much. So I definitely get that the first book for me was hard, but it was also my first time getting into adult fantasy and fiction like of this nature. Like everything else I'd read had been YA, so this was very different for me. Like the polyamorous relationship, I never read a book with anything like that in that yet. So like everything about it was different from what I normally read, and I think that's what like excited me about the book once I got to the end of it. But no, it was a hard read in the beginning. Like I was like, I don't think I'm gonna finish this lady's book. Like more power to her. I'm glad she won those awards, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this thing.
Well, and there was something that we talked about before I read the book about a friend of mine read it and did not like it at all. And she thought it was like the most boring thing ever. And he said, I feel like anybody who reads it and is bored by it doesn't see the connections to of the I don't even know what they're called right now, the like the empowered people,
The
their
origin.
connection, yeah, like their connection with the way that most of the white society treats black people in America. And we had discussed that. And so like as I was reading it, I was like, man, Cash was not wrong. Like it is, I mean, it is there. It's definitely there. Like, you can see it. And I think it's done so well that, like, you do feel bad for the characters. Like, even me, who wasn't able to really connect to the characters, I still, like, could look at it. And I guess I was looking at it, like, from the perspective of an outsider, in that, like, man, that sucks. Like, but I couldn't, like, I can empathize, but I couldn't understand it, if that makes sense. Like, I had the empathy, but I didn't have the feeling, and I don't know why I had that disconnect. But I think I was just, like, clear over here focused, trying to figure out, like, why they only have earth powers, why no one, like, why is there only earth powers? I don't know. And then trying to, like, figure out the timelines, because I had, my brain was, like, hardcore. I knew that we were in multiple timelines. I knew it, like, from the second we get, I'm horrible, I've forgotten all names now. From the young character,
Demaya.
Demaya, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, from the second Demaya's, like, going across the desert, and there's, like, they're talking about, like, the ruins and, like, an obelisk on the ground, and I was like, this is, like, some multiple timeline bullshit happening right now. Like, I knew it, like, from that point. So then the rest of the book, I'm trying to piece it together, and you're not supposed to do that. And so that's why I think it was such a weird read for me, because I was just like, I was bound and determined I was going to figure it out before the book told me what was happening. And I did, but I think I enjoyed it less because of that. That's my thing.
See, okay, so we are like soul sisters right here, right? So the thing that my boyfriend hates about me when it comes to either watching something or reading something is I have to figure it out before we get to the end. Like,
Yes.
it can't surprise me. If it surprises me, I'm upset with my brain. And it hasn't happened yet. Like, the closest that I got was Gone Girl. Gone Girl, like, that girl was psycho. Like I knew she wasn't dead, but like I didn't know she was that crazy. Like, I was
Exactly.
like, yo. And then, okay, so we watched the movie and then we just read the book together, and I was like, I'm so mad at Gillian Flynn. I'm like, I just want to throw this book at her, not across the room, but at her, like that. Yeah. So I completely understand. I
It was the
completely.
same way with that book for me too. I 100%, like, knew that, like, I knew the twist, and then it went, like, full tilt. That bitch is crazy, and I was like, I was so mad that
I
I
was
didn't
sitting there
realize she
like,
was that
and
mad.
then I was like, yo, like, not to talk about somebody else's book, but yo, like, I was legit upset, and I was like, I don't like, because I saw the movie before the book, and then I found out it was a book, and I was like, oh, this book is gonna be bomb because this movie was like crazy, and then yeah. So
I've
back
never.
to the amazing fifth season and how I was not upset with that ending.
Well, and I discussed. I tried to be in the chat for Becca and Kate's, because I wanted to hear, like, everything that they said. I just was not emotionally available to be on a screen that day, and because I was on the verge of a panic attack at any moment, and just, that is the worst time to be on screen, when you're like, I feel like I can have a panic attack any moment. So, it's fine.
No, big facts. Like, I had to do like a 10-minute breather last week on my stream because like everybody's emotions were high. And I was like, nope, nope, let's do it. Let's pause. We're not gonna do this because you can't function on a live stream like that. Like, it's
No,
great. No, it's not.
it's crazy.
So yeah, no, I'm
So
glad you took care
I
of it.
stayed off, but I was in the comments a little bit. So, um, one of the things that I did a little bit of research after I finished the book, to do, like, some, like, chat discussions, because there was a lot of things going on that I wanted to kind of, like, get an idea of what was actually going on. So there is, like, a couple of really big theories about, which you've read the whole thing, so you would know. But there's a lot of theories about, like, the little Stone Eater kid, and, like,
Koa,
yes,
my
I didn't know
absolute favorite
anything.
character. My
I'm
favorite
horrible.
character.
He's great. I love him. Like, he's wonderful. I love him. I love that he just, like, carries around a little bag of, like, stones and eats them. I want his teeth. That would be great. My teeth are I have holes in my teeth from where I chew on my lip ring, so if I could have his teeth, that'd be great. But there are, like, speculations that somehow the people that are inside the obelisks are, like, the reincarnation of really powerful children that have died, and so there's a theory that he's the reincarnation of their child, and like this, they're like there are people that like go hardcore, like the suggestion that because he says like at the end of this book that he's not in his original form, that he took that form to connect with her. And so people are like, so how does he get to take that form? Is what he's eating, is he eating humans? Like, do you have to eat the thing to become the thing?
So we're not gonna remember that it's Stone Eater. Like the name is Stone Eater. We just
right.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure we heard that part.
My point was, how deep are people getting in this book? Like, people are like, they are so like it's me. They are trying to figure it out so hard that they are going like way out left field. Like, well, they must eat people because that's how they take the shape of people. And I'm like, did you read the book? I don't know.
Right. Like, okay, so he is definitely just a Stone Eater. But he plays a huge role in the story. A very huge role. Like throughout all three books.
Which is
past
great,
and present. Right. No, and he is my absolute favorite character in the first book, and then as the books grow, like I'm like, oh, you've been cool. Like you weren't just cool as this like child, like you've been a great character. So yeah, no, he's definitely a good character.
So my question, as someone who has finished reading the books, is does it continue to time hop? Like, is it known that they time hop, or is it like it's another surprise for me that they time hop? If it is, you have to tell me.
No, for me, I feel like it was known. Like it was known. Like after that, I feel like that is what she used for book one. I feel like the story takes a different turn for book two. Like there are different characters. Like it's still assumed, but there's other parts to it.
Okay, so it's still time hops.
Yeah, it time hops more in book three than in book two.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if like it was just like the reveal for book one and then it was gonna go linearly from there, or if it was gonna continue to.
It is linearly for book two, and then book three continues that line, but there's parts of book three that goes back to explain the importance of like obelisks and stone eaters.
Okay. See, I think it was really well done because I have a lot of problems with books where they hop around time-wise that I don't like, even when I know they're hopping around time-wise and I can't keep up. And so like that thing to me is like, I mean, I gave it 3 stars, but I rate off of like a 6-star. I have a point system. So like the writing was a hardcore 5 for me. Like I think the writing was amazing because there are so many things that she did that I don't think anyone else could do or could do as well. But it's just like everything together. But yeah, I've read there were 2 books last year that I read that were like time hoppers, but you knew that you were changing time periods, but I couldn't keep up. And so I quit reading them like a quarter of the way in. Because if I have to struggle that hard to keep up, it's not worth it to me. So that's
no, I definitely agree. And that, like I said, like in the beginning, that was kind of like what threw me about the book. Not like the time hopping, but I just couldn't get into the writing at first because I was just like, this is so much information. Like there is so much, but it's because I was not used to such like to world building of that magnitude as far as like different types of people go. Because I'm used to like the regular lore of like vampires do this and werewolves do this, but these are like people that you just created and you are giving them powers and things, and I gotta look up definitions of words because I have no idea what this means. Like it was a different experience. And I think for me, the biggest like mechanism for drawing me into the story that she used was that second person point of view. I think that was just something I didn't expect, but it drew me into the story a lot more. And so like I think that's like you were saying like about the writing being a 5, like that was a crazy adventurous thing to do as a writer, because one of those things that like people don't talk about a lot. They don't talk about second point of view, or right, second person point of view. I'm saying right. Yeah, they don't talk about that a lot, and I think that she did a great job with that.
It's so hard to do second person and for people to continue to read it. And I told Kate that, like, one of my complaints was that I had no idea what was going on. And I felt like in second person, if it's me, if I'm there, because it's telling me, it's saying you, which means I'm the one that's there, but I have no clue what the hell's happening. And I feel like if I'm there, I should know what's happening. But then I got to thinking, like, um is it a representation of real life and how none of us really know how the world works or what's going on, like, in the world outside of our little circle? Like, is it supposed to represent that you, like, how minuscule we really are? Like, is that was that second person point of view specifically made to make us feel small, if that makes sense?
Well, I know in like so okay,
I
so
get
I
deep
didn't
sometimes.
realize that Goodreads sent you like messages, like people that ran Goodreads send you messages. And so I had like rated her books and I got a message from someone about like a live questionnaire she was doing. And I missed it and I was so mad, but I got to go back and read the questions. And one of them was concerning that, like the second point of view. And one thing that she said was she wanted to use it to cement the PTSD that Assume was dealing with, because it was she had disconnected with herself through what had happened as she was cyanide, losing her son and then becoming Asun and marrying Jaija and whatnot.
It makes sense. Well, and I think she definitely throughout the book becomes more like cyanide again, especially towards the end. Like, she definitely makes that conscious, like, she even consciously says that's not something I would say, and then she's like, but actually several years ago I would have said that. So there's so many things that she does so well that makes her characters are very strong people. Again, why I did not emotionally connect to her characters, I do not know. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, man, that was really fucked up. Like, I was sad, like that, like this, that, or the other happened. But in the moment, I was just like, okay, but why is there no moon? Like, why did this happen? Why is it like I didn't care about the characters? I wanted to know what was happening in the world, which is probably not how you're supposed to go into it. But that's where my brain went. So,
I think it one thing that I think that it shows is no matter how much, as and this is for me reading it as a black person, no matter how much we try to like hide our blackness or assimilate to things around us, the bottom line is we are who we are. And I think that's what Assume is like realizing is you try to hide the your origin, you try to live around it, and you are who you are. You can't deny who you are. And like as you see with the obelisk following her around, obviously you have this power that you have had your entire life, that there's this strength that you can't do anything to get away from. And for me, that was what I thought about in reading that, was like, you are who you are, so don't stop being who you are for other people. Like, you can't change that. Like, no matter the scars, the battles that come with it, like, yeah, you lost your child, but that's part of who you are. Like, you can't run from that. And I think that that was like very powerful in the storytelling.
I think it was interesting that for her, when they were on the island, she really wasn't that much connected to her child. She really just felt like she was like his carrier, his sustenance, and that the guys really were like almost as if she had given this child to them as a gift rather than actually being his mother. But then you see, I mean, even as cyanide, she doesn't realize how important he is to her until the end. Not the end of the book, but the end of him, at least. And so it's interesting how you have that viewpoint of her loss of two different children, because you see one where, well, you don't see how she was affected because you don't I haven't got to that part yet. But like, you see how little she really cared for him, prior to, and then you see how much her other two children affect her. It's so interesting how, like, that difference in character is for the same person as well. I don't know if that was meant to, like, throw you off from them being the same person also, but
Well, again, for me, when I was reading the characters, the parallels for me is the fulcrum is the majority's idea of this is how we fix you. This is how we make you more presentable. And so I think the parallels to what it's like for Black women who are in education and how so many more are focused on getting those degrees, getting those jobs, and not having children as much. Like that is drifting away with these newer generations. And so I think it was she had goals that she was trying to reach because of this life in the fulcrum. And a child changed all that. Like even when in the beginning when she's talking with I can't remember her name, but the
her
woman that she's
advisor.
talking, yeah, her advisor before she meets with Alabaster. Like this is a part of the job. I've had this many children. This is just what you do, and then you get your next rings. Like she never planned to have to raise that child because that's not what she was gonna do. And so I think that that part of the story is interesting because it's like, yo, there is this connection that you do have, that you do see in these very last moments of his life. And so my question then became, is it in realizing how much she loved him what made her love Uche and Nasun so much? Because she didn't have that, because she was trying to be normal, and being normal means loving your children and protecting them.
If maybe her seeing what she missed by leaving him more for the men than I did not come at it from that angle. It's always hard for me to connect with like mothers and children in books just because I don't have any interest in having children. So like sometimes it reads together for me. So
And it's funny because in her first trilogy, the 100,000's Kingdom, there's another like mother figure child relationship, and one of the questions that someone asked was like, do you have something going on psychologically that has to do with mother and children? She's like, nah, but I'm sure some PhD student somewhere in the future is gonna tell me that I did. Like it just happened in the story like that. Like that's just how I wrote the characters. But I think it's funny because as readers we're like, yo, this is a common thread that you have. This must be something you're trying to tell people. And I think about that because even somebody had read Penelope's Curve and they were talking about holes. And I was like, I forgot all about that movie. Dang, there are little parallels here to that movie. What? Because it's like stuff you don't think about, but things that other people put together in piece from what they've experienced. So yeah, no, I think that's interesting in itself.
there's like, and as we're talking about it, like I think back on like it, to me, like the relationship was weird, like between her and Alabaster and whatever that pirate guy's name was.
And
Sure,
yeah, and yeah, he was hilarious. I
liked
remember
him.
laughing so much at his character. Like he was funny.
He was a great character. But it was like their relationship was so weird to me because it wasn't like she even says that like there are people who have relationships where all three people are in love with each other, but we're not like that. It was a very interesting relationship.
Yeah, I think it was like like she loved Alabaster but wasn't in love for him. Same for her, and then they were in love with him. And yeah,
And he
it
was
was
just
my
like, all
first.
right, I'll take it.
Right, it was my first reading of a polyamorous relationship, and I was like, okay. And no lie, it was awkward because I got the sex scene when I had to read the book out loud to my boyfriend. So y'all, I just kept like pausing and being like, okay. And so then, and Alabaster, and okay, because it's just like one, it's awkward to read sex scenes, period. It's so awkward to read them out loud. And then like reading it to my boyfriend, and he just was sitting there like, yo, read the book, yo, like this is the story, just keep going. I was like, okay, all right, let's keep going.
And I'd have handed the book to him and be like, I'm gonna reserve my turn for next
I know,
time.
right? Like that would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious.
You read it then. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure like I would have been as red as possible because I was just sitting there like sweating and everything. Like,
I'm a girl. We're not allowed to say this kind of stuff out loud. Here, you read it. And they'd be like, dude, last week you said,
right, that part. Like, oh,
calling you out.
dang.
All right, fine. Maybe you're right. Oh gosh, my cheeks hurt. My cheese muscles hurt.
Hey, on Nicole Marcinus stream, we're always talking about how we have to rate how hard our cheeks hurt afterwards because we like smiling and laughing so much.
I feel like the world is such a gloomy place. I don't get to laugh very much anymore. So my cheese muscles hurt.
Okay, so we haven't talked about Shafa.
Oh yeah.
Shafa though.
I don't like him. I think like that whole group of people to me is really weird. Like who put them in power? Like who thought that was a good idea? It's to me it's really weird because it's like it's kind of like I'm gonna go really big here. It's kind of like Hitler in a way. Like, because Hitler was Jewish and he wanted to control Jewish people and he thought he was better than them. And Shafa and the whatever those people are called, I don't know.
The Guardians. The Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians. Yeah. I knew I needed you here for something. I could not have talked about this book without you.
I got you.
But the Guardians are basically their children of the empowered people who didn't get powers, but then they were put in control of. Like, that is the worst person to put in control because they're jealous that they didn't get born with the power to move the whole earth. So we should put them in charge of you. Who made that decision and why? That's all I want to know.
Man, yo, so are you gonna read the rest of the books?
Yeah.
Okay, because I definitely want to continue to talk about his character as you continue to read the books.
Yes, well, the thing is, like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I didn't rate it high, but I really enjoyed it, and I want to keep reading it, and I may go back and reread it and change my rating. I don't know. But I think he's an interesting character because, like, you're made to believe that he is, like, he's a true neutral. But he's neither good nor evil. But he does really good things. But he also does really bad things. So, like, how do you judge? Like, is he there, like, to gain his own power? Is he there to keep the earth from vibrating apart? Why is their earth vibrating apart? Are they on the moon? There isn't a moon. Are they on the moon? Is it the moon?
The moon is very big in the other two books. I will say that.
I do know that the moon has. That's why I put up our 2 moon picture because I know the moon is important. Otherwise, they wouldn't have ended the book with the something whatever. Have you thought about the moon? Also, yeah, it's really weird to me that like he would save her from being murdered by townspeople, which is what they were suspecting would happen, but then like breaks her hand. She's a small child. That's rude. Very rude.
So I think part of it, again, for me, again, this is always going to come back to being Black because of the book. So I do apologize in advance.
No, for real.
But so, like, if you think about like the way that slavery was and how there were so many slaves that lived in the house with their masters, but never did anything to harm them. Never, even though they had the capacity to do them. it is a level of control and like essentially like Stockholm syndrome, really, right? And so it's like if I show you that I can cause you this little bit of pain but protect you from a lot of pain, you're gonna take the lesser choice over the harder.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I think that so when I would think of Shopper's character, like I was like, these are people that think they're doing good. These are people that think that they're helping to make the world better by teaching you to control yourself or be a better person or do this. Like, that's what he does. And it's just one of those things where you just like think about all the people who think telling black people this is how you should act, this is how you should speak, this is how you should dress. If you do these things, they won't think this way. If you talk like this, they won't do this. If you wear your clothes like this, they won't do this. And it's like it's a control thing. But it's like at the end of the day, no matter how I dress, no matter how I talk, no matter what I do, I'm still this thing. You can't change it. You can't hide it. It's
Right.
still there. And I think that that is what guardians were meant to do, were to control and to be like, hey, I have these, I'm controlling you in this way, but it's not, it doesn't seem as evil as wanting to kill you.
You're not wrong. That's the thing too, is like I like getting the perspective of someone who, you are gonna have more insight on it just because you can identify with the author, whereas I can't. And so that's why I think like having these book chats and having discussions about books is always good for me, because I not can take, what I already thought, take what you thought, and then kind of like, especially through rereads, and you see things that you didn't see before. And especially in a world like this, like it's not necessarily necessary when you're reading like a contemporary romance or something, but when you're reading something like this that has so much to say about, I mean, despite the fact that you wouldn't think so, but it has so much to say about our world, our society as a whole, our politics, our government, the way that we view one another. When it has that much to say, it's good to get viewpoints other than your own, especially when you're a pale ass white girl. So, it's true. I mean, look at me. I'm pretty pale.
I will say I have definitely seen paler. I have definitely seen paler. So you have that going for you.
Well, we do, like, I have a great grandparent that was from, just dropped out of my brain. Basically, I have some Asian is what I'm going with, but also pale. So I did one of those ancestry things, because I was like, it's for sure going to be like 99.9% you're white. It was not. It was interesting, to say the least, but a lot white. A lot.
I love it. This is awesome. This is awesome. I think. Go ahead.
White.
I think what I loved so much about the book was just getting to see how like fear really ran the world.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the things that happened were solely off of fear. And it was just crazy to see that in the book and then be like, okay, this is real life. Like that's what she's trying to say, that this hatred is really based off of fear. And I remember watching an interview with her and Neil Gaiman, and they were talking about Lovecraft and his hatred and fear. And I had never heard somebody speak of racism in the term of fear before. And like now, like as we're having this book chat, I'm thinking about everything they did to everyone in the book that was origin was solely out of fear. Not because they'd done anything, but because they were afraid of what they could do. Like, so in book one, because I can't remember where this is, so y'all tell me where this is. In book one, or if this was in book one, do you find out why he killed Uche?
They suggest that it's because he's the one that made the quake, but they don't actually say why, because you don't actually meet him.
Okay, so it's in a later book, so never mind. I won't say that then. But yeah, because I was like, so like that when you get to that part, it's like, fuck. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is not my channel. I am so sorry. I just did that.
I curse all the time.
Okay, I was like, oh my god, like, but it is like that is like legit what happens when it's solely fear, and to see how fear drives this entire world, I just think was just really great writing to me.
The one thing that I thought was interesting and could very well go along with that ideal is you look at like the pirates, the people who lived on the islands, and they were in the most danger from the quakes and tidal waves and things like that, but they were the least scared. They lived harmoniously with each other.
Exactly.
And they were able to function together, and they had the best life for both peoples. They had stuff going for them. They didn't fear the waves, really. They didn't fear the earthquakes and things, because they were like, well, whatever happens happens, but at least we've got each other. Everyone else is like, we're locking all of our shit up. You can't come into our village if you don't have the right last name, or if you're not the right type of person, and you can't come in here. And I'm just like, that is so strange. And I get, like, if you're in a if they were in it once the crisis actually happens, I can understand circling the wagons when the crisis happens, but you don't need to do it on a normal Tuesday.
Well, in both the island and in Castrima, they both survive because they live harmoniously with Origins.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you could stop an earthquake if you had people that could stop earthquakes in your group. Like, to me, logically, that makes sense.
I mean, I understand that people could make the earthquake, but would it not make more sense to, like, I don't even want to say, like, take people's children from them, but if you could, like, once someone showed power, they should go somewhere to be taught how to control it so that they're not harming people.
And that's what
then they should be able to go back out into society and live normal.
And that's what the fulcrum is. The fulcrum is exactly that.
Except they don't get to go live back in normal society.
Because you still have to get this much control. You still have to get this much control. Because it's once you get to certain levels, if you are left alone, they are still afraid of what you might do because they know how powerful you are.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like it's like I have in I'm going way off. We're jumping over into AuthorTube here, away from BookTube. In my book, I have like the evil people, like the worst of the countries. There are people that have powers, and their country requires people who are powered to register, because if you have a good power, they want to use you to, you're kind of cannon fodder, really, but they want to use you to send you out to fight their battles for them. And it's kind of that same thing. Like in the fulcrum, they take you and they train you, but then they use you to do what they need to get done, versus like letting you be used for the greater good of everyone. It's just for that specific thing that they want to get done, which is not how a happy world works. I don't know how a happy world works because we ain't got one, but I'm pretty sure that ain't it.
And I think that the interesting thing about the fulcrum is the rest of the world believes the fulcrum is doing right by them.
By taking all the kids.
Because they're taking the kids and they're turning them into origin workers who then come to different places to help when there are natural disasters, like in Alia with the harbor that they needed cleared. Except that ended up being a lot more than what they bargained for. But that's what
Luke has
origins are
been.
for. They go out and do these missions, and this is how we train them and make them useful. This is what they do for us. And so the rest of society is supposed to feel like they're good, but then obviously Alabaster gets poisoned. So there's that.
To me, it's interesting that, like, obviously I don't know because I haven't read all the books, and at some point I'm sure I'll get there. But it's interesting that, like, there was an assassin person who was a guardian out looking for Alabaster, and basically was like, you know what you did to your guardian, and so now, like, we're gonna kill you. Like, first off, why do you attack someone who can make a volcano erupt from the ground in a populated area? Like, whose idea was that? Not mine. I mean, it was great for the story, but not so great for that town. I don't know. But it's just weird that, like,
people get cocky. They think they catch people off guard. Like, because remember, he got caught off guard when he found out it was Cyanide who did it and not Alabaster.
It's true. It's weird.
So the one question that has plagued me, and I don't think it ever gets answered, is did they always know she was that powerful? Like, did they always know that was something she was capable of? Like, that was something that I wondered when the night that Demaya becomes Cyanide.
Well, because all I have seen of that is her being caught with what's its face, and then the guardian having the thing removed from their body. I'm sure that'll play a larger part in the books to come, because that was weird. So and he tells her that she's gonna have to take the test and either pass or die, basically. So I haven't actually seen her take the test. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, you don't see her. You just hear that she took it, and, like, you just get the understanding that she passed it because her name becomes Cyanide.
Okay.
So yeah, they don't. She doesn't write into that.
Okay. So I don't know if something that she did, when she was there at that crevice thing, the nodes. I don't know what those are. I don't know.
And that's my thought. That's been me and the boyfriend's thought, which is why we're, like, going back and doing, like, a third sweep through the series. Like, one more time. Let's make sure we catch everything.
I want to make sure I get all this. Yeah, I think that they knew that something was off, probably based off of what the guardian that lost their shit was saying, and based off of where she was. But I don't know how much of that was her and how much of that was the person she was with, because she never would have made it in there if she wasn't with them. So I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing.
I remember when that girl, when the girl, what is it? Not from the leadership cast sneaks in, and I was like, yo, if this ain't privilege, just walking on two legs, like, she's like, nobody even cares that I'm here. That's because you're dressed like us. Because they think you're one of the, like, all I thought about when she said that, and this is, like, really sad, but was, like, the end of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Like, they don't care about the people because they've already put you in this group. So once you're wearing this uniform, you become irrelevant. And, like, I remember feeling like Demaya, like, reading Demaya's, like, thoughts, like, duh, like, don't you get it? And I remember feeling like, yo, like, I think like this all the time. Like, don't you see? Like, don't you got the same two eyes I got? Like, yeah. So I remember feeling that scene, feeling that scene intensely.
I just like that we're both comparing this book to the Holocaust in one way or another. So,
right, because, like, it does though. Like, in that moment, like, that is a big thing that you did not stand out anymore. Your use cast was irrelevant.
Well, to be fair to them, they probably didn't, like, in that theory of no one cares that I'm here and it's because you're dressed like them. Also, probably because they're trans, there's probably some, like, they've probably already got some ingrained thoughts on how, I don't know if it was, I haven't made it to anything where they talk about if it was hard for them to be a woman. I don't know, but I feel like that may play a part in it as well, because they are outwardly not what they are inwardly, or they dress differently than their body shape, if you get what I'm saying. They're dressed as a woman, but they have male genitalia. So do they feel like it's harder for them to present as that than it is for them to present as someone who is supposed to be there? I don't know if those two things correlate, but
Okay, rewind. I'm lost. So I know that with a specific character, Tonki, right?
right.
Right. Okay.
Am I way wrong?
And you're so Tonki, but you talking about, you're talking about the girl.
But that's the same person.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was revealed in book 1 or book 2. I couldn't remember, so that's why I was waiting for you to say that they were the same person. So then I was like, okay, I didn't ruin that. That's all.
Right.
I
No.
was making sure, like, I was like, hey, wait, did she like peek into the? How does she know? I was just making sure. Yeah.
No, it's the same person. Well, I just remember, I was like, maybe I got it wrong, because it was a really quick mention that they were, that when she was bathing, that they had seen male genitalia.
Right.
Like, it was a really quick mention, and it wasn't focused on, which I think is great, because that means that it's just like she thought it was normal and moved on, which I love to see that in books, when things like that are just normal and you just move on. And so when they're talking about her, like, when you see them and in their, when they're kids, and she says that, you know, she's able to blend in so well, I wonder if it's because she had such a struggle blending in as a woman to begin with, like when she started to try to blend in as a woman. I don't know how to say it without
No, I get what you're
like
saying. I get what you're saying. I guess I thought that the change of what they wanted to be happened after she got in trouble for being found down there, because Talkie talks about, like, which I think they do this, and talks about her not fitting in with her family.
Oh.
And so that's when I thought, like, it was like this was the beginning of you not fitting in with your family. But I don't know, because they don't, she does not go deeply into Tonki's, like, life or anything. Like, we don't find out, like, what her family she came from or anything like that. So I don't necessarily know. But thinking about that now that, like, you brought that, like, again, because I didn't catch that they were trans the first time I read it. The second time I read it, I caught it, but the first time I didn't.
Well,
But
and
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. It's because I was paying so much attention to, like, all of that stuff, and I did not connect to characters at all.
All I knew was that she stank. That's all I knew, was that she stank and she didn't bathe enough. Like, I got that, and that was it. And, like, I did not. And then I was reading it again, and I was like, "Hey, yo, babe, I'm gonna read this line again, and you tell me what this says to you." And it was like, was that there the first time? I was like, I'm pretty sure she ain't reprint the book, so yeah. I think that was, we just glossed right over that part.
Not only did she not reprint it, she didn't reprint it and sneak it into our house and
Right, and sneak it in
push
here
it
and be
out.
like, yo, here you got a new copy. Like,
Oh yeah, the things you catch on a second time around, man, or a third time around.
so I'm,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
intrigued to see how they turn this into a movie or a TV show. Like, I know that they have film rights. I don't know which one it'll be, but I'm very intrigued to see what they do. And it's such a great story. I can't see, well, of course, you know, they're going to deviate from it somehow, but I can't really see, like, why you would. I'm just intrigued. Probably because they'll want to put a love story in there, because there's really not one. Like, it's really not.
Well, I mean, there is. You got the throuple. I mean, that's a love story. It doesn't
I
end great.
mean, I feel like it's a situationship. Like, like that's what I feel like it is. So we gonna put in millennial terms. That's a situationship. Like, it's the most complicated situationship I've ever seen in my life.
I call that being a hobosexual, where you're just with someone because you need somewhere to live. I mean, it's kind of
No
offensive
lie.
to
So when I
hobo.
picked up the book today, I'm legit at the scene where. So you want them? I mean, you want them? I mean, would you let me have them? This is the real conversation y'all having right now. Like, I guess I'll let you have them. I mean, he wants you, but I want you too. I want both of y'all. Okay. that's the conversation, yo.
We've already seen each other naked and had sex with each other, so we might as well both have sex with you too. Okay. But I mean, maybe if we were all more open about what we actually wanted, both from our romantic and sexual relationships, the world would be a better place because there'd be less cheating and stupid stuff. So
Very much so. Like, being honest, yo.
just be
The
honest.
wonders that it works. The wonders that it works.
I don't care if your honesty tells me that you think that I'm a fat angry hag. Like, can we just get it out in the open and move on?
Right? Like, yeah, let's just start there. We can only start from where the truth in the beginning lies and then move on from there.
I literally, there's not been a comment for like 40 minutes. So is anybody actually watching? Like, there's 10 people watching, but are any of you actually here? Go ahead, let us know you're here. I feel like a radio DJ who's like, if you want to talk about what's going on in your life, give us a call. Let us know you're here. Like that.
That's
Wait,
so awesome. I love it. Michael's here.
Michael's here.
Oh yeah, there's the comments.
Yeah, people.
So has anybody like read the book and they have anything about it that they like to talk about or like us to discuss? I'm just curious.
Agree. Did anybody not read it but come and listen to us spoil everything for you?
I was thinking about that as I looked over and saw that there were no more comments, and I was like, "Oh, yo, I hope I didn't ruin this for somebody."
Listen, if they ruined it for themselves. They're on their own. I have no sympathy. Look, Raquel's halfway through reading it, so she's been spoiled for everything.
Sorry, Raquel. Sorry.
I threw my ink pen lid, so, don't mind me while I'm over here looking to see where I was throwing stuff earlier.
Yo, both my dogs are like laid out. Like, they are done.
Let's see. Chasey hasn't read it, just listening, but loves spoilers, so, haven't read it. Sounds interesting. See? Y'all, you're killing me.
Well, thank you. You're so nice.
It's great to not have a pale-ass white girl idea of what's going on.
Shut up! You were about to make me fall out this chair.
Listen, I have been saying it for years. Like, the town that I grew up, not necessarily the town I grew up in because I lived in the middle of nowhere, but like the school that I went to was like all white kids. We had some Hispanic kids and like one black kid, but it was like 99.9% white kids. And so when you are like the whitest of all of the white kids, there's an issue. So I think part of it's because like I've had the same best friend like since I was in diapers. And so her grandmother is Mexican. So I've grown up with a Mexican grandmother that no one can figure out because she's not really my grandmother, but it's fine. So like we always like attribute everything that she does to being Mexican and attribute everything that I do to being a white girl. So it's ingrained in my brain after 33 years. Like it's just, why are you doing that? I don't know, because I'm a pale ass white girl. It's what I do.
I don't know. So my best friend Emma, she's white, and we have been friends for going on 2 decades now. So like we were homeschooled together. We went to like the same homeschool co-op. So like have known each other through everything, and so like she says stuff like that all the time. So no, I like yeah, it's our like little running joke. Like today, she sent me this picture, and like the top half is like this white family in pumpkins, and it's like a dad and like a pumpkin and a wife with like pumpkins over her boobs and like a baby and a pumpkin, and then under it it's like a picture of Dave Chappelle from a skit, and it's the People magazine, but it says like white people on it in the magazine, and it's just him looking at it under it, and that was her thing for today. And I just be like, but you do remember that you are that color too, like right? Oh, I know. Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. Like,
We do
yeah,
see.
I love her. No, I love her to death. She's so awesome. So yeah.
I love white people. They're so dumb. Bless their hearts.
And I'm from Oklahoma. Bless your heart is not a bless your heart is so no.
It is.
No, that is like ooh that
Listen, I'm from Ohio, which is like the southernest northern state you'll ever find. Like it's so weird. Like the South somehow goes up Tennessee and Kentucky and into Ohio. I don't know how it does that. It's super weird. Like we have like the sweet tea thing here. Like we have like the same Southern Ohio has a southern accent.
I remember I was talking to Kat, and I was like, she was like, Ohio's Midwest, and I was like, but it's on the East Coast.
Yes.
Like it's not like I was like, how is it the Midwest? Like Oklahoma is like mid Kansas, Nebraska. It's like the middle of the country. How is it? Yeah, and we got into so yeah, no, I'm like Ohio is one of those like weird states that fits in so many categories somehow.
My thing with Ohio being the Midwest is it's not even in the middle. It's east of the middle. How is it Midwest? It does not make sense.
Thank you. I have been wanting an Ohioan to say this for the longest. Like, no, you're in the Eastern time zone. Like, can we just okay. All right,
I don't understand. I don't get it. But no, like Ohioans are very southern, and so like bless your heart is normal here. And sometimes it's nice, and sometimes most of the time it's not. And so it just depends. We still have 4 churches on every corner like they do in the South. It's fine.
That's definitely Oklahoma. Like that's definitely Oklahoma. Like buckle of the Bible Belt, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, yeah.
Like the town that I live in, I think there's like 1 church per person. I think it's it's rough out here. We got lots of churches. It's so weird because like as a kid, I went to so many different churches, just because my parents were those Sunday parents that like would send their kid to whatever church would pick them up and take them, so they didn't have to deal with their kids for 4 hours. And so like I've been to every church in town, and like most of them are half empty or more. Like, why do we need this many? They're all empty. Ain't nobody going to church.
Questions that need answers, yo. Questions that need answers.
Yes, Ohio borders Lake Erie on the north. Why is that flashing for you? Are you seeing this? Or what is happening? I can't click off of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's happening for me too. Yeah, it's definitely
is it on the thing too,
and it's on the screen. Yeah, I see it on the.
Oh wait, it stopped. Okay, that was weird.
Okay, StreamYard, what you got something to say? We don't know. Like you trying to tell us something? What's going on?
I don't know if it's possessed or what happened, but that was weird. Anyway, yeah, Lake Erie is on the northern border of Ohio. We're part of the South. FYI, you should know. There's like a weird, I'd say there's like a weird black hole between Ohio and Florida, because like half of the people who live in Ohio or Florida both have a home in both. So like you will see just as many people with Florida license plates as Ohio license plates on a regular day. It is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's just Texas and Kansas here.
We have a lot of my family lives in Florida, because my grandparents got a divorce and one of them moved to Florida, so I have a whole section down there. And like it is so weird that like you meet people here that like live near them, or like I'll go down to visit them and I'll see people that I know from here. Like I went on vacation, a 2-week vacation to Florida a couple of years ago, and like ran into people that I know who live here who have a house there. Like it's so weird.
I know, that's crazy.
We just do weird things. Ohio is like the weird state.
I used to. I used to. I don't anymore, but yeah, I used to.
Quit trying to stalk her. I was on a stream one day. I think I ended up deleting it because much like you when you said your middle name in the middle of a live stream, I just like straight out told people where I work at, like what street it's on, like just went for it. I'm all for stalkers. Just getting stalkers in here.
I'm be perfect. You don't want to stalk me. You don't. Like I live in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a state that don't require you to have a gun license, so you don't want to stalk me. Just don't. Just don't do that. Save yourself the trouble.
I've had a stalker before and I wasn't scared then and I'm not scared now. Listen, people, I've been questioned by the FBI. You do not scare me.
That part, like, yo, like,
Twice.
Yeah, people just don't even know, do they?
Like, I've been questioned by the FBI. You don't scare me. They were kind of nice, but also kind of dickheads. It's fine. They just accused me of like harboring a fugitive murderer. It's fine. No big deal. Nothing major.
Yeah, no. Definitely been through a similar situation in my childhood. My grandma's best friend ended up turning out to be America's Most Wanted.
Mine was he was on America's Most Wanted for reals.
Yeah, like no lie.
Yeah, like for some reason they thought that I was hiding this guy who I've never met. Never met. But because like I worked with someone that he used to date and there were sightings of him on a property that my aunt owned, and I don't know, because we at some point lived on the same street. Obviously, I was hiding this cop killer at my house, and yeah, fun times. I love harboring fugitive murderers at my house.
I'm surprised you haven't turned that into a story.
One day, one day. Also, like the thing that I found interesting was that, like, and I asked the guy, like the FBI detective that was questioning me, um, because I am a sarcastic asshole. That's my brand. And I'm like, you realize that you're accusing me of harboring a fugitive, a person who I have never met, who murdered someone that I knew, and liked. What sense does this make? Like, my mom worked with his mom, and my mom worked second shift, so I was like 7 or 8 making dinner by myself, and I would call into the office and I would talk to his mom and she would like tell me like how to make spaghetti. Like she would walk me through it on the phone at night so I could make dinner. Like, this is a person that I know. So you think I'm going to hide the person that I don't know, that I've never met, who shot and killed him? Sure, let's go for that. FBI, if you're listening, it wasn't me, and you don't scare me. We'll like next when you guys hear 10 minutes from now. Whew.
We would like to talk to you. We have some questions we'd further like to ask you this evening.
This was like a decade ago. I was like 21, 20. I was real young. But yeah, I'm not scared. You don't scare me. JC's not gonna stalk you though.
I don't know. I didn't think you were stalking. We were just teasing. Just teasing.
I do sometimes wonder about stalkers, but again, I've had one, so like that's why I have dogs. And
I feel like this. I'm a handful. You probably really don't want to stalk me. I'm probably gonna get on your nerves. You're probably gonna like, nah, just leave me alone.
your mom used to tell you when you were a kid, like if you were acting stupid, and they would say, "I don't have to worry about somebody kidnapping you because if they do, they'll pay me to take you back." Did your mom ever tell you that?
No, my grandma just made us read The Ransom of Red Chief, and it told us that. Have you ever read it?
No.
Yeah, so it's a story where a kid gets kidnapped and they call the parents to ransom him, and the parents are like, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to bring them back and give us money for taking him back because we know you don't want this kid no more. Like, it's an awesome story. Like, my grandma bought the book and I was reading it to my little cousin as a bedtime story. And she's like, no, everybody come in here and read. Kashay, read the book before everybody goes to bed. And I legit fell over laughing reading the book because it was just such a hilarious conversation between these kidnappers and the parents. Like, I loved it.
I tell the kids that now. Like, if they're acting dumb or if they like get out of my sight and they're like, weren't you worried? I'm like, no, they'll bring you back. I don't want you either. They'll bring you back. You're on my last nerve. This is why I don't have children, because I have 30 something. I don't even know how many nieces and nephews I have. The last time I counted, the number was above 30, but I don't know for sure.
I have 16.
I don't know. There's a lot of them. They go from really small to really tall. That's all I got. You were muted and now you're unmuted.
Oh, my bad. I said the crazy thing is that I have 16 nieces and nephews, but only 3 of my brothers have kids.
It's a lot of babies. Mine are mostly like my cousin's kids, but we all grew up together, so it's like it's an Ohio thing.
I get it.
You're related to everybody that you're not related to. I have a Mexican grandma. It's fine.
I have a couple white mamas, so I get it.
I'm being stared at by a pupper dog that wants to go outside to use the potty. So, does anybody have any resounding thoughts about this book? I know no one in the chat does because no one's read it. How about you, Cash?
Just that it definitely opened me up to being willing to read more fantasy. I fell in love with the author through the series. I've read 6 books of hers now. Ooh. Just ordered the Dreamblood duology today, and I have The City We Became, the book that she put out this year. So I am excited to read that because that's the first book of another trilogy she's writing. So like I'm super excited for that.
I am definitely going to continue reading them. I don't know how soon, but I did put them on the audiobooks on my wish list on the Libby app, which I think now that I know the characters and have an idea of the world, I could probably listen to the audiobook, whereas I couldn't with the first one. So just whenever they come through from the library, I will read through those. And I think that so long as Kate and I both continue to enjoy them, that we'll probably have discussion videos for both of them as well. Once we're done at the end, like have a full discussion video, because it was our group book and I think we both enjoy. Becca and Kate definitely enjoyed it way more than I did, but we did all enjoy it. So
yeah, and I already know Becca's in the middle of book 2. Like I know she started like right away. So yeah, she's already in book 2.
All over it. Unlike me, who's like, yeah, when they come through, I'll get to those. I was approved for like 4 books. Like, I mean, I guess I'm not approved, but like my weight was up for 4 books today from the library. And so like they just like all popped into my inbox at the same time. And I was like, it's a good thing I've been reading a book every 3 days lately. Just accept.
Yeah, I had The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates come in today. So I'm like excited to start that. Like, it'll be my first book for September.
I'm trying to read some of my backlog. So I've got like books that were published in like 2012 and stuff. So I've only got 180 some unread books on my shelves, Cash. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all.
We're not even gonna talk about the number I got. We're just gonna act like it's small.
Is it larger than mine?
So there's a good portion of the books that are in my house, and I have over 500 that I have not read.
Girl.
But I will say that a good couple hundred are like craft books, like photography, coding, like that kind of stuff. But like in here, I read all the children's books on my shelf, or like young adult or whatever. Like I read all the like Pretty Little Liars and the Series of Unfortunate Events and that stuff. And I've read almost everything John Grisham has ever written, because I have almost everything he's ever written. But yeah.
I mean, if you want to blow people out of the water and get like double the amount of subscribers in one night, do a bookshelf tour. You'll have like a bajillion subscribers the next day.
Really? I guess I might have to do that. Like
bookshelf tours are like king.
Really? Okay. I'm gonna have to add that into my little content calendar.
It is so weird that like a community as far as booktube goes is supposed to be like about, you know, everybody like discussing books that they've read and things, except hauls where we all buy a bajillion books are the most viewed videos, and review videos where we actually talk about the books we read are the least viewed. So it's an interesting, even with booktube, it's consumerism. So
that is very interesting.
We saw.
I'm gonna have to do that. I haven't done a book haul because I usually buy like used books, and all the book fairs that we have because of COVID haven't happened. So I haven't gotten any new books since last year, like other than like the small little when I got the trilogy or this book. So I haven't really had any, but that you're giving me ideas and I appreciate it.
I mean, I've bought like 50 books this year, so, but I've read 66, so I've read more than I've bought. I've also unhauled quite a lot.
That is definitely better than a lot of the booktubers I follow, because they have definitely not read more books than they bought this year.
Listen, I got rid of probably like 20 books. Just like as I was backing the heck out of Twitter and the toxic mess that it is, and just like all of the people that were showing their true racist colors, I was tossing books. Like I didn't even announce that, like didn't talk about them on my channel. I was like, I'm getting rid of X amount of books because these people are racists and we're not going to talk about them, and just like put them in a box and sent them on their merry way. Like I don't have time for that. I don't have time for it. So I was able to get rid of quite a few books this year. Really, the older ones, like that were like late 90s, early 2000s published, and they haven't published anything since then, but for some reason they still think they're relevant and should spew their hatred on Twitter. I don't know why.
Well,
I'm just saying. Just a thing. Just a thing to say. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, I'm being drooled on because Flash would like to go to the OUT. So I'm going to end here and say that I hope y'all read this book and or finish reading this book if you haven't yet, because it's awesome and you should read it. And Cash, if you want to do an outro, you're welcome to.
Oh, okay. Hey everybody, I'm Kashay. I write short stories, poetry, and the occasional blog post, and I have had a great time being on here with Jessica. Definitely want to do this again if ever she needs an extra person to help out with something like this. This was fun. Check out my channel if you're interested. I did have a short story come out, so if you want to see what my words are like, see if I kind of am getting this hang of this writing thing, you can definitely check that out. It is linked in my latest video, so definitely go check it out.
Are you doing your normal weekly live stream tomorrow night?
Yes, ma'am, I am, tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard
Time. So If you don't know what time that is, it was a half hour ago. So look at your clock and go back a half hour. That's what time it is. Okay? You got it? All right. You can come hang out with Cash tomorrow night and write words instead of reading books. And I can let this evil villainous look here he is. Hello. Can I help you?
Hi, doggy.
Can I help you, sir? I don't understand why we're here. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna hit the end button and say bye. Bye.